You may want to finish this video before you finish that pint. A beloved regional brand allegedly ignored Listeria warning signs for 2 years while products stayed on shelves, then came back with tubs that melt weird and feel off. If that is how the freezer aisles, trust me, works, what else are they swapping? Real cream for fillers? Flavor for foam? Stay with me. I'll show you 7 brands that play marketing games and 3 that still taste and behave like real ice cream. Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 92% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So did you subscribe already? Great, thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video. If a beloved brand can miss warning signs for years, what are the quieter brands getting away with where labels look clean and the paste still tastes sweet? Let's start with the safety lens.
Have you ever taken a bite of ice cream, that cold, creamy sweetness melting on your tongue, and felt an instant rush of happiness? It's comfort in a cone, joy in a bowl. But what if I told you that some of those scoops are quietly working against your health?
Discuss the absolute worst ice cream you can eat and the best ice cream that you can eat. And yes, there are certain ice creams that are healthy, and I'm going to share a great recipe with you at the end of this video.
One spoonful at a time. I want to open your eyes not to take away your favorite dessert, but to empower you with knowledge. Because not all ice creams are created equal. Some varieties are loaded with ingredients that can harm your metabolism.
I think I would be an expert in ice cream since I used to eat a lot of ice cream. I remember for 1 year, I ate 1 pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream every single night to be able to sleep because I had insomnia really bad.
When inspectors flag a pathogen and product keeps moving, you learn how a halo works. Reputation can outrun reality. Fans keep buying, stores keep stocking, and the risk stays cold and quiet. That gap between image and what is in the tub is the freezer aisle's basic trust problem. After a big return, people start clocking the odd melt. The scoop looks fine at first, then it slumps too fast, goes airy, leaves a slick on the spoon. Texture tells you the recipe shifted. Less cream, more bulking agents, more air. It is not your freezer at fault. It is the build of the mix and the way it is churned. Here is the mechanics. Overrun is the air whipped into the base as it freezes. Add a little and you get lift. Add a lot and you sell fluff. That is how a dense pint turns to foam. You pay for volume that vanishes in your bowl. Like buying a bag of chips that is mostly air, your spoon hits a puff, not a scoop. The label split matters. The FDA draws a line for what you can call ice cream. There is a milk fat floor, and if you drop cream or egg yolks and lean on gums, stabilizers, or milk protein concentrate, you slide into frozen dairy dessert. Same aisle, different rules. That change is not cosmetic. Fat gives body and carry for flavor. Without it, you need binders to fake the feel, and the melt gives the trick away. Watch how it is sold to you. Script fonts, gold seals, a rustic farm tale on the lid.
Inflame your body and even sabotage your gut health, turning a moment of pleasure into a long-term problem. So, let's dive into the most harmful types of ice cream you should avoid eating.
And I noticed when I consumed Ben & Jerry's, it put me to sleep. Little did I know that was called a sugar coma. So let's start out with the worst case scenario type ice cream, Ben & Jerry's. So if you look at the ingredients for Ben & Jerry's, it has cream.
And discover how small choices can protect your health, your energy, and yes, still let you enjoy life's sweet moments. When we think about ice cream, the first thing that comes to mind is joy.
It has liquid sugar, skim milk, more sugar, brown sugar, soybean oil, and of course, don't forget the tapioca flour, which by the way, they use for a filler, and it's not even sweet.
Then flip the pint and read the list. When the story says cream and the panel says a chain of gums, flavors, and concentrates, you know which side is doing the heavy lifting. The front screams premium, the back whispers pantry swap. Real cream costs. Additives are cheap. You pay either way at the register or in the spoon. Now the inconsistency piece. Regional hype brands thrive on buzz and short distribution. One store's pint scoops thick and smooth. The same label 2 towns over is grainy and whipped. That is not a quirk of taste. That is variable process.
A scoop of happiness on a hot day, a sweet reward after a long week, a nostalgic taste of childhood. But beneath that creamy texture and delightful flavor, there's a growing problem hidden in plain sight.
Now, what's interesting about Ben & Jerry's ice cream is that per serving size, there's 49 grams of carbohydrate. So 49 times 3 equals 147 grams.
Today's ice cream, especially the ultra-processed varieties that dominate supermarket shelves, is far from the simple blend of milk, cream, sugar, and natural flavoring that it once was. These modern versions are carefully engineered concoctions.
Carbohydrate. And so some of that starch turns into sugar. So what we're really dealing with is about 35 1/4 teaspoons of sugar in the Ben & Jerry's pint of ice cream. So take a look at how much sugar that's in there.
Overrun targets that drift and ingredient swaps when supply shifts. When fewer people can compare notes across states, it is easier to spin the tale and blame your freezer for their formula. This is why fans notice the melt before they notice the words. A clean formula melts slow, blends into a creamy pool, and leaves a clean finish. When it breaks into an oily puddle or springs into spongy foam, the base was built to hold air, not flavor. Stabilizers have a role. They keep ice crystals small and the texture even. But heavy hands turn dessert into a lab project. You can taste that trade on a hot day. The real kicker is how cost hides in air. High overrun lets a brand fill more pints from the same tank of mix. The tub feels light, the scoop weighs nothing, and you are paying for space. Premium pints keep air low and flavor high. That costs more to make and to ship. If a premium label feels featherlight, your wrist is telling you more than the seal on the lid. So we are going to name names. 7 brands that lean on varnish and volume, and 3 that still act like ice cream, not a chemistry kit. You will see how the front-of-pack theater meets the back-of-pack math, and how that plays out in your bowl. Here is the lens you need. Watch the melt.
Designed for mass production, long shelf life, and irresistible taste. But in exchange, they're packed with ingredients that our bodies were never meant to process ingredients that can quietly harm our health over time.
Let's come up the list to Breyers. One serving size is 21 grams of carbs, 18 grams of sugar, but there's 4 serving sizes. So if you multiply 21 times...
Let's begin with the word ultra-processed. It refers to foods that have been heavily altered from their natural state, often containing numerous industrial additives.
Slow and creamy is a good sign. Oily or foamy is the mix confessing. If it tastes thin and vanishes fast, you bought air and additives. If it lingers clean, you bought cream. Now let us map the aisle, 7 to skip and 3 worth your money, with why each call matters for your budget and your health. Real ice cream tells the truth in the melt. Slow, creamy, clean finish. Not oily, spongy, or grainy. That is the test you can run with a spoon and a minute on the counter. No lab coat needed. If this gave you something to chew on, like subscribe and share it with someone who still shops by logo, then check labels before you buy. Look for short lists, real dairy, and pints that feel dense in the hand. Your freezer will tell on the fakes. Save your money for the pints that behave like food, not foam. The next tub you grab should earn its place.